Hey everybody, welcome back to the Health and Wellness in Bayonne show. I'm your co-host, Dr. Mike Acanfora. With me today, as always, is my co-host, Kathy Pacifico. Kathy, how are you?
I'm doing pretty awesome, thanks.
And today we have a real treat. We have Kerry Taniguchi with us. I thought I was going to screw that up.
You did well.
It went through my head about 1,000 times.
I know.
We
I saw that.
And all I was thinking about was, please let me not butcher your name.
It's fine. We're all good. We're all good.
So Kerry is a fitness expert. So if you see her in town, stop her. She has all the questions, all the answers to your questions.
Okay. A lot of pressure on you, young lady.
So you are a Pilates instructor.
Correct.
Amongst all of your talents. How did you get into Pilates? Because you don't just become a Pilates instructor.
No.
So you took Pilates.
You get kind of infected.
It's infectious.
It is. It really is. I was in my early 20s.
So that was last week.
That was yes, it was actually last month.
Last month. Very good.
So I was in my early 20s and I was doing marathon training and triathlon training, and I hurt my knee. Now, I've always been athletic, but I never got injured, so it was shocking to me. Mm-hmm. You can imagine in your early 20s. And I went through physical therapy, and my physical therapist did Pilates work with me on some of the Pilates machines,
okay.
As well as some standing exercises like balance work. And I loved the results. Mm-hmm. I really felt really strong, and I liked the way I looked after that. And so then I figured...
But you didn't like the way you looked before that.
I like the way I looked, but I looked better. Why not?
So where was this at the time? Where were you living?
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
So you're a physical therapist, and we talked about this a little bit. Most physical therapists are not certified in Pilates, don't teach Pilates.
Right.
But you happen, very fortuitously, go to a therapist
yes.
who did this type of work.
I was really interested in sports medicine physical mm-hmm. therapist. And my experience with the physical therapists that I have worked with who specialize in sports medicine mm-hmm. have at least some background or some knowledge of Pilates work.
Fascinating. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I had an injury, and it wasn't Pilates, but you ever hear of the bar method?
Yes. There's a lot of stuff borrowed from that.
Yeah, and I remember I had a knee surgery. My ACL mm-hmm. was torn.
I remember that.
And I said, what, in between, let me go and try, just a little bit of rehabilitation because I couldn't really train. And I walked into the program, and I was humbly surprised because it was pretty intense. And I'm thinking they're not using any of the, weights, and I'm used to training a certain way. And they handed me a 2.5-pound dumbbell, and I'm like, what do they want me to do with this?
Right.
And it was incredibly intense. And it was an amazing sensation that working on thinking that I'm going to be doing rehabilitation, but the intensity of that kind of a program, it reminded me a little bit of some mat Pilates that I had tried.
There's a lot of interweaving with the bar because you take ballet principles, you take some choreography, and you take Pilates principles, combine the two, and holy smokes, hello legs, booty, core.
Sounds awesome.
Really? You want to try some?
Later, we have to do.
We're going to do paper, rock, scissors, and whoever loses is the demonstration model.
Really?
Really.
All right.
So you obviously benefit from this. And at what point do you say, I have to do this, I have to become certified? Like, tell me that experience.
I don't know. It's like a switch kind of flipped in me. So after I got injured and I did my physical therapy, I started getting really interested in it, kind of hooked. I started taking mat classes at my local gym.
Sure.
And my mat instructor was a fully certified Pilates instructor. So there's different levels of Pilates trainers.
At that time, Kerry, what are you doing in your life? Where are you?
I am trying to come back to marathon training and triathlon training.
What are you doing for a living at that point?
I was a therapist before I entered into the field of fitness.
Okay. Yep.
So I was working with teenagers and families, doing family therapy.
Very cool.
And adolescent therapy.
Wonderful. Okay.
So anyway, I talked to my instructor, my fitness instructor, and she was like, "You should do the training." Mm-hmm. And I was like, "Me? Me?" And so I tried it. Like, there are various levels, and I just took like a weekend certification for a mat work, and I did I had this kind of epiphany of like aha, of just how to explore it and how like other people can benefit from it.
Okay.
So I have the background in therapy, and I like to help people.
Yep. Absolutely.
And then I'm seeing people in my own class where I'm like a participant, their bodies are changing, I'm seeing my bodies change.
Sure.
I'm feeling like I'm healing and I'm stronger.
Yep.
And I'm like, why not? Kind of perpetuate this.
Sure.
To other people. So I just thought it was the right move.
Absolutely.
It was scary, but
sure.
Without a little bit of fear, there's no courage,
Right. Absolutely.
So I took the mat training. I worked with someone to like be a group fitness instructor for Pilates mat, and then I wanted to go further with that, and then I took an advanced course, which was about 2 years long.
So 2 years.
Some of the programs, if you want to get fully certified as like a fully certified Pilates trainer, and all the Pilates equipment, knowing anatomy and rehab, and doing an apprenticeship. Mine was 500 hours.
It's a lot of time.
It took me 2 years to complete the program.
Awesome. So tell us the difference between, for example, Pilates that's mat work and using a piece of equipment like what's called a reformer.
Correct. So Pilates mat work is considered some of the hardest work of the Pilates industry.
Really?
And part of that is because if you do it right, it's extremely difficult.
Okay.
The machines, like the reformer, force you to do all of the moves that you do on the mat correctly. So you can cheat in the mat work.
Okay.
You can lift your shoulders, you can arch your back, you can have your knees a little higher. But when you're on a reformer, it's a machine that's got pulley system and straps and springs that are weighted.
Yes.
And if your legs are, say, in straps, and you want me to extend your legs to 45 degrees, if they go higher, your butt's going to lift, or you're not going to feel the pull. Or if you go too low, the machine's going to go all the way back, and you've got no give.
Gotcha.
So what happens is the machine will give you feedback immediately, like, you're not doing this right.
Absolutely.
So the machines are used for rehab. They can be used for rehab. They can be used for advanced work.
Okay.
You can do other things on the machine that you can't necessarily do on the mat, like advanced stuff where you're like standing on it, doing balance work and, splits, stuff like that with the spring attached.
How about somebody that's just starting? Is that a place to start?
Absolutely. It's perfect. It's perfect. I have a lot of clients that I've trained in the past who either never even heard of it, got referred by their physical therapist, coming off of an injury, or they've just, had some life event where they're thinking, I need to try something different. So I've had a lot of people come in. Most of my clients have come in not knowing anything, and that was one of the first pieces of equipment I will introduce them to, because it can be the lowest kind of intensity, lowest option, and then you can build up into levels. And then sometimes when they get more advanced, I throw them on a mat on the ground.
Yep.
And then we do other stuff.
That's awesome. So this is why I have Kathy on the show, because she lends this structure that we all need. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about that, of course, I didn't get to talk about is, tell us, like, how did Pilates come about? And this is what happens when I don't meet with Kathy because I'm so busy, and she helps keep me grounded.
It came about, it started with a man named Joseph Pilates.
Okay.
He started this. I want to say he started working with people in about 1912.
Okay.
World War One. His mother was a naturopath. His father was a boxer, gymnast.
Okay.
So he had an athletic background, and he started Pilates as a form of wellness, as alternative medicine. He kind of looked at the spine and posture and breathing. And his whole philosophy is about balancing the body,
Sure.
and strengthening all the muscles around the spine while breathing correctly. So he started this in, like, I want to say 1912. He was working with Scotland Yard. There's like a whole history prior to him coming to the States.
Okay.
And he came to the States in the, I want to say the 50s.
Okay.
Him and his wife, and settled in New York City. And he got kind of discouraged because, as you can imagine, in the 50s, the early 50s, he had a really thick accent, and he just wasn't getting the response he needed, or he wanted from people. Like, he wanted just regular people doing Pilates for health and wellness.
Absolutely.
And so what eventually happened was George Balashine, he brought his dancers to him, and that's why Pilates has kind of gotten the reputation for dancers.
Right.
Because all of, like, New York City ballet dancers, when they get injured, they all get injured, they went to Joseph Pilates.
Excellent.
And he fixed them right up.
Yep.
And then sent them off. So he got known in the ballet world and in the dance world as, like, this guy who's going to fix all my dancers and keep them strong so that they can be dancing around and hopping around.
That's awesome.
And then it kind of, with apprentices and his students, it kind of, bled out, I guess, or seeped out. I don't know how to say. And then it started getting picked up.
Okay.
Through
When
other
did it become really popular?
I want to say, on the list, probably past 3 decades.
Okay.
Probably in the past 30 years. It's become a lot more mainstream.
Yep.
And maybe even before then, but I feel like it peaked maybe like 10, 15 years ago.
Okay.
And part of it is because if you kind of look at how we're sitting right now,
Sure.
there's all this, like, forward motion.
Speak
We're
for
all
yourself.
like this. We're all like this.
Speak for yourself.
Really?
I'm sitting back. I am.
Yeah. But
Good posture.
This is our culture.
Yes.
This is our culture.
It's getting even worse with the texting and text neck. Yes.
So I see a lot of people with herniated discs in their neck. I see a lot of people with herniated discs in their spine. A lot of imbalance. We call it forward shoulders.
Sure.
And you just take a look at your clothes. Like when you stand up, if you see a lot of, like, creasing in your clothes, it's kind of, going to give you an indication of where your posture's been at most of the day.
Sure.
So because of all these like really common injuries that I have seen in the past, like, 15 years of, like, this, I call it the chicken neck.
Yep.
Because they're all looking at these computer screens or driving, and we all know Jersey traffic.
Forward head posture.
Right.
You must deal with a lot
All
of
the time.
that.
As a chiropractor, this is what we see all the time.
Right.
And try to get people to not need us as much and work on their posture.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the key. As you
Absolutely.
said, it is truly the key.
Yeah, it's just habit forming. It's like, how do you get someone into the habit of being first aware
Yes.
of how posture really needs to be, and how do they get in connection with that?
And that can be, and in Pilates, we work from, like, literally the feet up. So we even have exercises for our feet.
Awesome.
So, like, with our toes. And some people don't even know, like,
That they have toes.
that they have toes.
Wow.
And I tell people all the time, your toes are the furthest thing away from your head, and that'll be the first thing you lose connection with. We see all these elderly
true.
people
Yep.
who trip and fall and break their hip.
Yep.
And part of it's because they haven't worked on balance.
Sure.
They don't know where their feet are.
Yes.
And so in Pilates, we do a lot of our initial work is footwork.
Awesome.
And some people are like, I don't feel this. Well, you'll feel it eventually. You'll start understanding how we work from the ground up.
Sure.
And yoga does that too.
Yep.
We work with, you work through the feet with yoga, you work through the toes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's some of where there's a connection between yoga and Pilates.
Gotcha.
Segue.
Yeah, no, I am so passionate about it.
Saw that one coming. Your eyes lit up. It was like, segue.
I'm so passionate about yoga, and I think since we've met, I've been telling you I want to do private training with Pilates. Our schedules are so crazy, but it's a passion, especially being introduced to the bar method, knowing some of the inner workings of how Pilates works, and just being able to combine that and even offer that to the general population would be really exciting to me.
Absolutely.
So, how do you feel like that kind of connects with yoga, and how do they differ? How are they the same?
Well, they differ in many ways. I mean, yoga has been around for thousands of years, right? And it's in many, like, a lot of people only know yoga as like the exercises.
Sure.
But it's a whole religion. There's a whole philosophy behind it. There's like a way of eating. There's a way of breathing, and Joseph Pilates, I mean, you can see in his work how things have influenced, yoga has influenced Pilates work.
Okay.
So you'll see poses, like there's a pose called teaser that looks like boat pose in yoga. There's just a difference of arm placement and then what else we do with our legs. But the base pose of that is kind of it's a yoga pose. Right?
Okay.
The similarities of yoga and Pilates, there's breathing that is central in both yoga and Pilates.
Okay.
The breath is different. Where the breath goes is different, but it's central in the work.
So can you show us
The breathing?
some Pilates breathing?
I sure can. So, sit up nice and tall. All right. Get both
exciting.
feet flat. You're wearing heels, that's okay. And all I want you to do is take your hands to your rib cage. Just take your hands to your rib cage. Now, don't pop the chest. So what I want you to do...
you want to be Superman.
That's
you don't
it.
want to be Superman.
I am super.
What I want you to do is just take an exhale, and what I call it is knit the ribs together. Just exhale, pull the ribs together, but stay posturally tall. Okay? Now what I want you to do on your next inhale is breathe into your hands. Like an accordion. It expands, the rib cage expands, and then when you exhale, knit the ribs together. Now notice, do it a couple of times, and notice what happens to the belly. Does it contract and pull in a little when you're trying to knit the ribs together? It should.
Yes.
Should I be breathing out through the mouth or the nose?
You can breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth. But if people breathe too fast, tell them breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. You feel that?
Mm-hmm.
So think of like an accordion. You're
Yes.
expanding,
Yep.
breathing into your hands, and exhaling, pulling it all in. So
Absolutely.
that's the first part of breathing.
Okay.
We call it the ABCs of breathing.
Yep.
All right, so you're here.
Yep.
Now the next exhale, imagine you've got a corset around your waist and somebody's behind you and tightening it. So I want you to think you're narrowing your waist. So breathe in.
All right. My waist hasn't been narrowed since about 1972.
Oh, we're going to work
So
on
we're
that.
going to visualize.
Visualize.
Just
there we
visualize.
go, Kerry. All right.
Here's your mind-body connection
There
right
we
here.
go. All
Just
right.
breathe in, expand the rib cage, and then exhale. When you pull the belly in, narrow the waist.
Wow, I see it really
Yes.
pulling in.
Right?
Doesn't it
Okay.
Yep.
feel amazing, right?
Yeah, it does.
So
I'm going to get you a corset.
second. So that's number 2, right? Now
Halloween.
3, focus. 3, we have a pelvic floor underneath us. And when you hold your pee, that's your pelvic floor.
Are we allowed to say that on the TV?
Can we say that on TV?
Yeah, you can say it on TV.
Okay, but there's other things we could say. Okay, but we're not going to say them. So, third one.
Third one.
Focus.
3. Focus.
Inhale.
Pelvic floor.
Open the ribs. Exhale, narrow the waist, and at the same time, lift up on the pelvic floor. What does that mean? Squeeze your pee.
It means I'm exhausted.
Come on, you're energized. I know you're energized.
So, again.
Do it again. Breathe in.
Repetition is the mother of skill. Let's do it.
Expand. Exhale. Narrow. Pull up. So kegel.
Kegel.
Gotcha.
There.
I'm with you.
Do you feel it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep kegling. I know you're
Done.
enjoying that.
Done.
She-
Are you giggling? Yes, you are.
Like, no, I'm not doing that.
Just try it. Just once.
So
I'm actually sweating.
Listen, the lights. So
It's the lights.
You can
The
relax.
makeup.
Now relax your arms. Relax your arms. Relax.
Just
your
getting
arms.
started here.
Just getting
I know.
warmed up.
So now I want you to
Is the
think.
show over?
Is
there
it
2
over?
minutes left?
All right.
No? Okay, just checking.
Listen. Sit
Listen.
up. Okay.
Sit up.
up. Don't pop.
Don't.
Don't pop the ribs.
Come on,
all right?
Superman.
All right. So now I want you to think about your domes of posture.
Domes.
Domes of posture. So here are your hips. Right?
Yep.
Hips.
Hips.
Ribs stack right on top of the hips.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Shoulders stack right over the ribs.
Yep.
Right?
Right.
Head right on top. Right? And he's leaving. He's out. He's out. He's like, I'm done with this.
Our producer's left.
So now relax. Keep that posture. Keep your domes right on top of each other.
Yes.
And do that breathing. Breathe in. Expand the rib cage. Exhale, narrow the waist. Do a kegel.
It's exciting.
I got it.
You got it?
Yes.
Now, practice that. Everyone, practice that. And that's a very basic exercise foundation of Pilates.
That's awesome.
So you can kind of feel if you're
Right.
doing it, you can feel like how your center
Absolutely.
just engages, becomes solid in the sense of like just you're grounded,
Oh, absolutely.
especially in your chair.
Yeah.
Now imagine if we were laying on our back, you'd probably feel a lot more because people, if they learn it, see it standing up and then they lay down,
Yes.
they can engage a little bit more.
Yep.
And they'll be able to actually feel their back pressed down. They'll be able to feel the back of their hips pressed down, all of that.
Sure.
And then I'll expect you to flip your legs and arms around and do all kinds of crazy stuff
Awesome.
while you're learning how to breathe like that. So it's amazing.
That is amazing. So you teach this at the Forum, correct?
Yes.
How many days a week do you teach it? How often are you doing classes? And when do you find time to do it yourself?
I do about 15 to 20 minutes every day. I do various stuff.
Yep.
I teach, I teach a hybrid program with yoga and Pilates in it twice a week at the Forum.
Yep.
I've had other stuff like within the Forum we've done in the past where we've actually done straight mat classes, and we're looking at bringing other things in.
Awesome.
Some more like small group training programs that incorporate some fun stuff like TRX and Pilates, and
Very interesting.
yeah, there's like a million things you can do with it.
Right.
And still
We have the
stay-
straps, by the way. We're going to bring them out.
Yep.
You bring.
Do you want to do some TRX?
We're gonna do paper rock scissors to see who's doing what.
So.
Benefits. You know, like
Yeah. What are the benefits of doing Pilates other than sitting in front of 60 some odd thousand people sweating just from breathing?
Right, just from breathing.
Just
What are
from
the
breathing.
benefits? Well, we've talked a little bit about it
Mm-hmm.
already, just the balance of the muscular structure in the body. Learning how to breathe is breathe.
Right.
That's life. Anyone can do this. There are a ton of options for anyone at any level.
So you don't need to be 20 years old and fit to
Absolutely
do
not.
it.
No.
You have the average Mary and Joe in your class.
I have worked with athletes and I have worked with people who have never done anything before in their life.
Okay.
So there's a spectrum, like those are the two ends of the spectrum.
Sure. Absolutely.
And I've worked with every single in between.
Yep.
People who've run but never done any exercise in the gym,
Right.
aside from just running and stretching.
Yep.
I've worked with people who are, severely overweight
Yep.
and just trying to get something.
Sure.
It can be for anyone, and a lot of people say that all the time, but it truly can, and because there are so many options.
Sure. Sure. What else were you saying just before that?
No, we were just talking about just the energy of bringing new programming in and to be able to inspire the vast multitude of people,
Sure.
you know, from what you just said, from the athlete to somebody who's injured,
Yep.
to an active adult who is, you know, wanting to, you know, maintain their independence. Sometimes I have, you know, family members who, you know, lose that sense of connection with their body, and they're afraid to be involved in traveling, and because they just their connection with their whole body awareness and their strength in their body is lost. So, you know, being able to start with something that's not so intrusive,
Right.
something that they can use to connect their body
Right.
and their minds, and kind of work on both angles. I think it's just it's a warm invitation to exercising and taking care of yourself. And I think that, you know, just being able to introduce different modalities to people and give them options, I think is, you know, how you want to just be available as a resource.
And if you do it enough, you're going to have a great looking body too.
That always is
Right?
awesome.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
So we have about a minute left. Is there something you would like to say to all these people out in TV land?
Do it.
I think we should invite people to come on in and
Yeah, come to the forum. Check me out. I'm teaching in the mornings. I teach Tuesdays at 10:30, excuse me, and Fridays at 10:45. If you're not familiar with the forum, you can always call up or just pop in and get a schedule and
mention Kerry
mention me. Sure.
and get
That's
a.
right.
They all know me.
Absolutely.
She's the fitness expert.
I'm the fitness expert.
You're the fitness expert.
My 4-year-old will tell you something different. but
Absolutely.
Yes.
Because that's what 4-year-olds do.
Right.
That is what 4-year-olds do. So we want to thank everybody. Kathy, where can they reach you?
They can reach me at the forum. The number is 201-339-0050.
And that's the direct line to the
Yes.
club.
To forum,
correct?
not your phone.
No, it's the direct line to the forum.
If you would like to reach me, you could call us at the office, 201-858-0444, or you can look us up on YouTube at the Health and Wellness Show in Bayonne, or Facebook under the same name. So we want to thank everybody. Thank you so much for coming
Thank
in
you.
and talking to us.
It's fun.
We'll see you next time, and have a great day.
Thank you.